Hey guys, this is Downphoenix, and I wanted to hop on here to talk about the YouTube partnership program changes. And I wanted to kind of make an addendum to the video that I made yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, you can just click on that card right there, or you can go to the description, and you'll be able to check that out and kind of get updated on it. But let's go ahead and speed things up along, because not everybody's going to want to watch those videos. A lot of people are busy, and they got to talk really fast so that you actually pay attention, because some people have ADD, I'm just messing with you guys. Okay, so seriously, let's talk about it. YouTube has made changes to where you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers, as well as 4,000 hours of view time within a year period. Now, it's really interesting that YouTube phrased it in that way, because it's actually meant to kind of misdirect people in a way. What does 4,000 hours even mean? Because YouTube doesn't even measure the watch time in hours, they measure it in minutes. But simply enough, multiply it by 60 and you'll know the number of minutes, which is 240,000 minutes, which is an average of 20,000 minutes a month. So as long as you meet at least that average, you're probably golden. But you don't want to go simply off averages, because they are measuring over a whole year period. So you have to go into your analytics and measure it over a full year in order to get an accurate picture on whether your channel will be impacted or not. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this and these changes, because previously it was a lot more lenient the way that YouTube was doing things. You only needed 10,000 views, which even then was an increase from what it was before. I had no idea what it was before. I had no idea. I mean, what kind of restrictions could they have had if they increased the restrictions to 10,000 lifetime views? I mean, that's ridiculous. Did they just open it up to everybody pretty much, or what? I don't know. But let's think about this, guys. Let's really think about it, because here's what really sucks about this thing. What kind of bothered me with it is there's people that I know that are on YouTube. They're hardworking people. They've been on YouTube for a long time. They put out great content, and they do so consistently. But they lost their monetization. And that really sucks. That's what bothered me about all this. But then I decided to take a look at it from other perspectives and things like that. And the thing is, not all channels are great, unfortunately. I'd like to say that was the case. I'd like to say that every channel that I was subscribed to, or am subscribed to, puts out great content all the time. That's not the case, unfortunately. I know I personally don't put out great content all the time, but I'm working my hardest to fix that. I really want to make a serious stride to improve my content and things like that. And more or less just kind of like prove some haters on Twitter wrong, because, screw those people. But anyways, I want to go ahead and talk about why YouTube is making these changes. Of course, it does seem like this is all spurred by the whole Logan Paul thing. I still think that the timing is very coincidental if it's not spurred by it. It's really interesting how they time this. I think that there is a second adpocalypse coming, and that's why YouTube is making the changes that they're making, is because they're simply not going to have enough ad impressions to satisfy everybody that's in the monetization program right now. So they're having to make cuts. And of course, you can't make cuts, sadly, to bigger YouTubers, because, well, they're the ones that draw in the most views. They're the ones that draw in the most advertising dollars. So they have to hit the small channels, unfortunately. And that's what really sucks about it, because that's the largest quantity of channels that's going to be affected, obviously, are small channels. But let's talk about that. How will this impact small channels exactly? Well, if you're a channel that is just getting started, like literally just getting started, then chances are you probably weren't near those metrics to begin with. You have a long uphill battle to get to where you need to go. But that's the thing. YouTube back in the day was like that also. I didn't get YouTube partnership of any kind through YouTube or otherwise for the first 5 years that I was on YouTube. I officially became a partner in December of 2012. Which, if you want to see a video about it, click on that card right there. That being said, let's go ahead and just think about this. Because like I said, it took me 5 years. And this was back when requirements were stricter. And it was very hard to get partnership specifically through YouTube. Most people had to do it through an MCN, which is what I did. I did it through TGN. And TGN was one of the easier, I think, MCNs back then to get into. And they were actually actively recruiting me, so I was like, you know what? Let's do this, I'm not going to stop putting out videos. I enjoy making videos. If I can make a few extra bucks, so be it, man. That'd be awesome. And there's history. You know, we've been with TGN for over 5 years now. And you never know if things are going to change. Maybe I'll get an email from the next couple of days saying that I'm not eligible. But I've already looked through my analytics. I already meet the subscriber mark. I'm at 2,000 subs almost. It might be by the time you watch this video. You never know. And I also had about 390,000 minutes of watch time over the past year. So I'm already exceeding both of the goals by a decent margin. So I'll be really shocked that I get affected. And if I do get affected by it, it's probably because YouTube analytics might be broken. So I'm definitely going to have a word with YouTube if that happens. But then again, maybe TGN could decide to drop me even if I meet the goals, because they might decide to increase their goals and it might cut me off then too. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that. But let's just go ahead and talk about one particular thing that really bothers me, because a lot of misinformation has been spreading about this. You're not going to lose abilities that you already have with your channel as far as the way you promote videos. You're still going to have cards. You're still going to have the end cards. You're still going to have all that good stuff. You'll still be able to have no limitations on your uploads as long as you don't have copyright strikes and things like that. You're still going to be doing basically everything that's not related to monetization. So that basically means no running ads on your videos, no super chat, you know, that kind of stuff. That's what's being actually affected by this. And the thing is, I think super chat already had the 1,000 subscriber requirement, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was a little bit lower, I don't know. But it already had a requirement to be able to use super chat, because I know some of the people that had been affected weren't able to do super chat because we kind of talked about it and I kind of recommended it to them to maybe consider it or something like that. But it just really sucks that one thing that I don't hear people talk about with this is the fact that YouTube is taking the money of all these smaller channels and essentially running with it. That is what bothers me the most out of all of this. Now, why does that bother me? Okay, because we look at it on an individual per channel basis. Most of these channels probably have never earned $100 to be able to get a YouTube payout directly. If they have been earning any money and they didn't reach that threshold, it's probably because they were part of an MCN, and MCNs can pay out on a regular basis. They can pay out on a monthly basis because they just aggregate everybody's data together, and then you get a little chunk because they know they're going to get their money off you eventually. Matter of fact, this change that YouTube is making might cause MCNs to lose a little bit of money because of that. Because they may have prepaid for some of these people, and then they're not going to get paid because they might have to wait for that person's threshold. I don't know how that works exactly, but that could be a possibility. But the reason why this bothers me is because you have a lot of channels of various sizes. You might have channels that only have 20 subscribers. You might have channels that have 700 subscribers. You might have channels that well exceed the 1,000 subscriber mark, but maybe for whatever reason they didn't really start monetizing until recently, or maybe they don't put out a lot of videos, so, you know, not a lot of views, therefore not a lot of watch time. So that's something you have to consider, because these channels, they might have a couple dollars, they might have 50 cents, they might have 12 cents, they might have $14, they might have $85, they might have $57. They have some kind of number that's in between 1 penny and $99.99. Okay? So just think about it. And think about the literally hundreds of thousands of YouTube channels that are part of the partnership program and get monetization of some kind. Okay? That goes all the way from the highest up channels like your PewDiePies and so on, all the way down to guys like me that are still on the threshold but just barely hanging on, and then the large crowd of people, of course, that are under where even I'm at, which I'm already kind of low ranking. You know, if you can check out my social blade, I'm not anybody special, not even remotely. As a matter of fact, unless you're somebody that regularly watches me, I'd be really surprised if you happen to stumble upon this video. Maybe if I got a really good search term or something out of it. But just think of all of those channels that are involved, and think of all the money that's in that pot that YouTube is saving up for the $100 mark, okay? Just think about that. Where's that money go? Okay? Because YouTube hasn't made any adjustment to the way they're doing payouts for that monetization. Not even on this one-time temporary basis regarding these changes, because a lot of people are going to be losing partnership from this. So where does that money go? Because whenever these ad impressions get served up, YouTube holds on to that money until you reach that $100 threshold. Then they will pay you for it. And from what I understood, based on the ad revenue split, like if YouTube made $10 in ads for you, you would get $7 of that. I think that's what the percentage is supposed to be. Maybe it's like either $6 or $7. You do get the majority of ad revenue. But the thing is, say $85 in ads, you earned $85. Well, you're not going to get anything until you meet both the view time as well as the subscriber goals. So in the meantime, YouTube is literally taking that money that you earned for the site, and they're keeping it until you can reach that goal. Now, if you're that high up, you'll probably eventually get there, because, I mean, you're already doing an okay job. But hey, maybe you've been doing monetization for 4 or 5 years, and you only just reached that amount. At that point, you know, how much longer would it take at the same time, right? And then you multiply that by literally thousands and thousands of channels. And we're talking about literally millions of dollars that are kind of like swaying up there that YouTube potentially has, even though they had it apparently earmarked for other people. That money was supposed to be earmarked for other people. And I think this could be a serious problem, guys. I think this could lead potentially to a class action lawsuit. I mean, I don't know for sure. I'm not a legal expert. I haven't fully reviewed the YouTube terms or anything like that, so I'm not going to pretend to be that guy, of course. But if there's not a clause that protects YouTube from a class action settlement, then, hey, it could be a very good possibility. You know, maybe if you're a smaller channel, you could join in on a class action settlement and potentially get your monetization that way, except, of course, we know how class action suits go. Rarely do people that are in those actually get the money that they are owed. But it could set a really interesting precedent on how things do. And if that happens, maybe YouTube will increase that mark even further. Make it even more difficult. Maybe they'll increase that threshold or something like that. And, of course, also introduce a individual arbitration clause that keeps people from doing that as well. So that's what really is most concerning. That's something that I don't hear people talk about at all, is this particular issue. As a matter of fact, there was kind of a D-bag that I debated with on Twitter about this, and I told him this whole thing. I told him it's like Office Space. Remember in Office Space when they teamed up to make a software program that would literally take fractions of pennies from bank transactions off, and this company dealt with literally thousands of bank transactions every hour, and then that money slowly adds up, and then they have like $1 million before you know it? Well, this is what essentially YouTube is doing. They are taking money that's earmarked for something completely different, and they're shuffling some numbers around so that money never has to be paid out. That is shady as hell. That's all I can say. That is super shady, and nobody's even thought about this. It's crazy. Wow. So, that's what really bothers me the most about these changes. Besides, of course, seeing hardworking channels that I really enjoy watching not being able to earn any money. That part sucks, yes. But I know that some of those channels won't have any problem completing the goals that they need to in order to unlock that money and get it. But there's going to be a lot of channels that will never have that opportunity. They'll lose the drive. They will, for whatever reason, not have the ability to create content anymore. And Google gets to keep that money, man. It sucks, but it's a fact of life. It is exactly by design that this is happening. And so, yeah, it sucks. I mean, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. But till then, Downphoenix out.